Today, we're looking at a blue-black ink by Montblanc, their Iron Gall Midnight Blue. As always, there's timestamps down below so you can skip around, but if you've got the time, I'd appreciate you checking out the entire video. If you're interested in other blue-black inks, there is a link to a playlist down in the description. Welcome back, I'm Adam, an ink guy. Let's get into the 90 GSM Clairfontaine. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub. With no feather spread, halo sheen, it does shade very well. If you take a look at quick, it's going from darker to lighter to darker. Brown goes darker to lighter. Fox is a nice mid-tone all the way through. 7 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, some shading. Brown goes darker to lighter. Fox goes lighter to darker. 13 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both do show some color variation, and we are getting it. In the smear test, I don't think you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. To have a range of experience with this ink, the writing samples are done with a Jinhao 159 with a 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a medium, and a Jinhao X750 with an extra fine. Then a Sailor 1911 ringless with a fine nib was inked up, used for a day, and used to take the notes for this video. The second writing sample is done on 52 GSM Tomoe River. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is a lot lighter than a stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 13 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 29 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, and we're not getting it. In the smear test, you could not recover it if you smeared while you were testing. I agree with Vita. There's a lot to learn by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. A line of ink is put down, and then it's put in the water for 10 to 15 seconds. And we do see the light blue at the bottom, and it's pushing its way up, and we're really getting a very dark gray. The one on the right is allowed to dry for 10 minutes before it's dunked into water. And in 10 minutes, you see how much of a line is really being formed at the bottom, where it's bonding with the paper. Much of that blue is still there, but a lot of the gray is still moving. This one, it was allowed to dry for 24 hours before it was put into water. And you see that that line at the bottom is getting a bit darker, a bit more there. Less of the blue is moving up, but a lot less of the gray as well. This one was allowed to dry for 72 hours, and almost none of the blue is moving, and there's very little gray to move at all. So after 72 hours, you see that this is really, really resistant. The next writing sample is done on 80 GSM Rhodia dot pad. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 8 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the extra fine with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 13 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby of both do show some color variation, but we're really not seeing it in the writing. And the smear test, I don't know that you could recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Resistance tests are done to see how this ink can be expected to perform on the page, and more importantly, how hard it may be to clean from your pen. The smear is allowed to dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, it handles as well as I would have expected based on the chromatographies. I feel safe using it in a note-taking situation, especially if I need to go back and highlight. Water is barely getting this to budge. Like on the chromatography, we saw very little gray move, and that's largely what's happening here. Pen flush is starting to break it down just a little bit. Not tons, but starting to break it down, and that's only 30 seconds. 1/3 bleach solution, while it's completely removing it from the paper, is discoloring the paper. The good news is it only took water to get that out of my pen. And I was very confident about that, which is why I put it into that pen. The next writing sample is done on TWSBI notebook paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen. It does shade from a mid to light tones, like quick goes mid to light to mid. Brown goes mid to light. Fox is a nice mid-tone the whole way through, 6 seconds to dry. Medium is darker than the extra fine, just a tad lighter than the stub. With no feather spread, halo sheen, it's showing some shading where quick goes darker to lighter to darker, brown goes dark to light to dark. 9 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show good color variation, and we get it. And the smear test, you could probably recover it if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average viscosity is 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Montblanc's Iron Gall Midnight Blue has a viscosity of 2.87, making it really high in normal, but still normal. If you're interested in how the viscosity is tested or how that bell curve's made, then there's a link to that video down in the description. The next writing sample is done on Monocoque paper. We have no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, moments of shading. Brown starts a little darker, gets a little lighter. Quick goes a little darker to a little lighter to a little darker. 7 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, only showing some light spots like the ROW in brown is light. The U in quick is a bit lighter. The bottom of the O in the 10, bit lighter, so there's some spots. 10 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both do show some color variation left to right, and we do get some, and the smear test says you could recover this if you smeared while you were writing. For the inks tested, the average dry time was 17 seconds, and the realm of normal was 13 to 21 seconds. Montblanc's Iron Gall Midnight Blue has an average dry time of 14 seconds, making it normal. The last writing sample is done on 28-pound premium copy paper. No bleeding, no ghosting. That medium has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the medium with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, and 1 second to dry. The scrubby shows no color variation, and we're really not getting it. In a smear test, you could definitely recover it if you smeared while you were writing. Instead of finding inks that look like Montblanc's Iron Gall Midnight Blue, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. Being that it's really much more of a gray in how we're seeing it, I wanted to liven up the paper some with a nice turquoise. Graf von Faber Castell's Deep Sea Green. Now, if you'd prefer a different color as a complement, then down in the description are links to playlists that you can take a look at. So what do I think of Montblanc's Iron Gall Midnight Blue? In general, I'm not bothered by Iron Gall inks. This one shades nicely and comes with tone variation by pen. I see a lot of gray black here. As I write, I don't see any real personality. That seems, for the most part, from blue-black inks. This is missing it for me. So what nib and pen give the best writing experience with this ink? This needs a medium to wet flow pen regardless of nib size, but I think it would be best served from a fine or broad in those two extremes, but really a gusher of a pen in order to try and look more black and not so much gray. I hope you got something out of this video, and tomorrow we're going to take a look at a shimmering ink from Diatramentis, Cyan Blue Silver.